I want to talk about the Bucks and kind of the East being opened up, and other teams around the East, but mainly the Bucks. Since today everyone saw the news of Dame getting waived, and obviously his contract being stretched. What was your reaction off of that? I was surprised. I thought, Chris Hayes. I saw him put out a statement that Giannis isn't happy. I'm not buying that bullshit, bro.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm glad you said it. But first, let me play the Chris Haynes soundbite of him just, kind of because he has a close connection with Dame, just kind of giving us some insight into how Dame and his team is kind of
Move.
processing this.
Spoke with Damian Lillard briefly, and he was surprised. He was surprised. The Bucks did recently go out there to Portland to meet with Dame, but they did not tell Dame that this was coming. He had no clue about that as well. I was told that Dame found out about a situation just like everybody else found out. So, you can read into that as you may, but at the end of the day, he's going to be a free agent first time ever in his career. He's going to have the opportunity to choose his own team, and he's been working out. I've been seeing videos of him working out, rehabbing right now, so he's in a good place mentally. But there's definitely things that could have been done and handled differently for sure.
I don't want to say Giannis orchestrated this, but he definitely. I have a good feeling
Bro,
he definitely co-signed this.
Giannis is shrewd, bro. I think a lot of people don't like to say it. Giannis is fuck.
Yes, his fake nice guy persona, man.
That shit don't slide, bro. Giannis is shrewd. I'm not even saying he's not a nice guy, but when it comes to basketball and his way of business, he's shrewd. When he makes statements like, yo, I don't know if my future is in Milwaukee. That isn't saying that I'm leaving Milwaukee. That's him saying that, yo, I better get in my way. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I'm happy here,
he's not having a
but
season where he's not relevant.
yeah, he's saying like I like Milwaukee. I genuinely he like he's had all of his family's born there. He likes it there. They taking care of his family. They've taken care of him. He's gonna have a statue when he retires. That number 34 is retired. He's set. Giannis is set. Um, he's basically telling the front office like, "Yo, I want moves. I want to bring in guys who I think I could play the best out of, who I would enjoy playing with." You saw that with Kyle Kuzma. He wanted Kuzma. Reports came out that he wanted Kuzma on the team. So they said, "All right, we'll pull some strings. Middleton, it is." Even with the whole, like, everyone overreacted with this tweet. I looked at that tweet. It's about Brook Lopez.
But you know what? Giannis, like you said, it's highly likely he orchestrated this because you can tell for how the Bucks went out of their way. They used a stretch provision on Damian Lillard. He had
Yeah.
2 years, $100 million left on his contract. They extended it with the stretch provision to 5 years, $22 million, and it ends in
So they can sign players.
yeah,
And
so they
have
can
cap
sign players. It ends in the 29,
Yeah.
30 season.
It's
I've
kind of
never
the
seen a
Darren Williams.
team leave $22 million in their books like that for that long, and then go out and sign Miles Turner. So we have to, when we look at Miles Turner's contract, we're gonna have to add on the 22 mil on top of that.
Well, it's already came out that Miles was recruited by Giannis.
Man, Giannis, I don't blame Giannis, man. Like, who the hell doesn't want to be relevant, and you're putting out MVP numbers low key like Giannis has done the past couple of seasons?
Bro, he's a Hall of Famer. Like, you know what I mean?
But the
He's a
thing
Hall
the
of
thing
Famer.
about
He
Giannis,
deserves it.
I think he's confusing his loyalty for wanting to stay in Milwaukee for them actually having a chance to win. Like, I think even if Dame was healthy, their chances of winning was slim.
It's slim. The chances of winning closed, 2022, 23. When Middleton's health deteriorated
Yeah.
and Giannis got injured because of the back middle of the series against Miami, and the rematch in 2022, 2023, one of those years. So his chances have been deteriorating. I think with Giannis at this point, he's like I think with him, man, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think sometimes we talk about, players want to go here, players want to go there. But with Giannis, it's a different situation. I think some players like Kevin Durant, Oklahoma, he achieved a lot there, but he didn't achieve a championship. Devin Booker in Phoenix, there's a lot to yearn for. Dame in Portland, there's a lot to yearn for. But what is there to yearn for Giannis?
Relevancy, competing for a championship while staying in Milwaukee and collecting that max money.
Relevancy is there. But what I'm saying is like Giannis goes somewhere else.
Yeah, but it's obvious, man. Giannis likes his situation. He's the man.
Bro,
it's his city. Man.
But you tell me this. If you achieved everything in one city, right? Defensive Player of the Years, MVP, a fucking championship, everything. What would be the incentive for me to be like, yeah, I think it's time to try let's see like what I can achieve in other teams. LeBron did that in Cleveland because he's like, yo, I can't win, right? Giannis said, I won. What is there for me to really go out there and achieve and try to keep proving myself in another franchise?
No, I mean,
I've already made a home.
I wouldn't really say all that. I would just say, he still has, prime years left. He doesn't have to leave, man. He already won a championship. He never put that Michael Jordan pressure on himself. So nobody's gonna be mad if he just leaves with one champ. Nobody's gonna say he's a loser. You know what I mean?
Well,
he already
Giannis
has an
came
MVP.
into the league as an underdog. Is one thing if he came into the league projected to be Michael Jordan. Giannis was a project player, so it's a blessing that he ended up being, the second greatest power forward of all time. He's passed up Kevin Durant in all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you know what? He wants to stay in Milwaukee, man. It's very obvious because, again, if we look at the numbers, it's $22 million with Dame's contract stretched. You add on the $26 million that Miles Turner is getting, it's almost $48 million a year they're paying for Miles Turner. You could basically sum it up that way. You could take Dame's extra money along with Miles Turner. It comes up to $48 million against their cap. So how the hell are they really improving their team?
They're not. They're barely improving their team.
And you can't tell me they're still going to be paying tax. Dame is... this is crazy. Giannis really said, hey, trade that motherfucker, man.
Yeah. Bro, like the play styles didn't mesh. I don't think Dame really... you could tell with Giannis is like, man, this is where kind of goes back to Tracy McGrady and Shaq. It's like, Kobe accepted that back seat because he had no choice, of course. But sometimes
he had no choice and he had no proof of concept. He came into the league as a project.
Dame came in as a man.
Mm-hmm.
He won Rookie of the Year. You lead him to the Finals, Portland. You're playing with another dominant player similar to Shaq. You have to realize that, I have to take a back seat. Middleton was willing to take that back seat because Middleton was never a 1A. Drew Holiday was never a 1A. And I think that's what it all comes down to is Giannis is a 1A. And you kind of have to take that back seat. And I think this is what bit Dame in the ass. Now, guys like Kyle Kuzma, Miles Turner, those guys are proven winners in their career. They're willing to take that back seat. Kyle Kuzma is used to taking that back seat for guys like LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, but he has no choice. He's never been a 1A or 1B or even a 1C. Kyle Kuzma on a 100%. Championship team is coming off the bench. And he might even be the second guy off the bench on a championship team. Yeah,
he's a microwave player. Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at Miles Turner. Look how many players he's taking a backseat for. Rookie year, he takes a backseat to Paul George. Victor Oladipo comes to town, he takes a backseat. Sabonis takes a backseat for him. Tyrese Halliburton takes a backseat. Pascal Siakam takes a backseat. He's used to it. So for him, it's like not a big deal to take a backseat for Giannis. It's probably an honor to take the backseat for Giannis if you're Miles Turner. That's probably the greatest player ever took a back. That is the greatest player ever took a backseat for.
Now, is this the end of the whole buddy? Let's team up. I'm gonna choose my own superstar. I'm gonna choose my own co-star era, because this seems like this is the last stop of that. It was KD and Kyrie. And then Giannis and Dame was what was that? 2024 was Giannis and Dame. So now that has not worked. That's the end of that shit.
I think these guys are just looking at players who can contrast with their play style. Giannis and Miles Turner is a good fit. Miles Turner is a good rim protector. Miles Turner is a guy who's a good off-ball player and a guy who can shoot threes. It's good for Giannis. I think that fits perfect. Bobby Portis has always been a good six-man. Gary Harris is going to be a good off-the-bench player. Gary Trent Jr. had a good season. Kevin Porter had a good season. He's looking at it as like, yo, I have guys who can play off of me. And let's be honest, even salary-wise, they're a dead-end team. But even with the Bucks, let's say those guys get hot throughout the season or one of them make a jump. What's there to say that the Bucks don't make a run? I know it's the whole Cinderella story, but what's there to say that there's not a possibility of that as long as Giannis?
Yeah, but you know what's so crazy? You were right in the beginning of this segment. Giannis did pull this trade for sure, because when you add up Miles Turner's salary and Dame's stretch salary, it comes up to the same amount of money.
Yeah.
There's just no way that this was just done off the whim.
Bro, he played media manipulation with the timing of his tweet about Brook Lopez. A lot of people are like, oh shit, he's upset about Dame. You read the tweets. 4 tweets straight in a row about Brook Lopez. No, I'm sure it's a mixed message to like, oh yeah, I care, whatever. Man, that guy cares more about that. It's pretty clear if you read between the lines. He's talking about Brook Lopez. He's just trying to play media manipulation.
Yeah. Hey, the real Giannis is the guy that choked out Benedict Mathurin. Now that SGA took a pay cut, is this the new standard for the rest of the league, especially after Jalen Brunson took a pay cut?
All right, I'm good now. But you look at Giannis, bro. That guy seems to play with his own kind of rules, bro. And I think Giannis is so shrewd. I don't really see him trying to take a pay cut to win, bro. I think Giannis wants to win, but on his terms. I think Giannis might be different from like SGA and those guys in regards of like team building and kind of how he views basketball in general and how he views the business side of things. It makes sense, no? Like, when has Milwaukee ever been a relevant franchise outside of the Kareem Oscar? And they had some moments with Sidney Moncrief, but they never been a consistent, relevant franchise. The Bucks, Giannis makes them a relevant franchise. The greatest book ever. This is the same guy who's probably going to get a statue outside of the building.
Yeah, well, I was going to say SGA is really... What do you think about his contract, though? Him taking, instead of $380 million, he took $285 for 4 years. Does this set the new standard for all players? Because you can see Jalen Brunson, he took a pay cut. So guys that are eligible to get the money, they're sacrificing over $100 million. Is this a new standard to remain competitive?
And that's what Denver's putting the pressure on Jokic. It's like, yeah, we're going to give you an offer, but it's up to you to accept. So I was like, yo, Jokic, do you really care about building a winning team, or are you looking for your own pockets?
What do you think Jokic is going to do?
Who the fuck knows, bro? that's like, at this point, like, bro, I really didn't think Jalen Brunson would take a pay cut until I saw that Monty took a pay cut for. I didn't think, I thought Shea, when I looked at him, I'm like, fuck, that's low. Like, forget 75 mil. I'm like, bro, a guy who had one of the most greatest seasons of all time, you would think he'd get a lot more out of the contract or a lot more out of the negotiation. Mind you, we cut off his representatives, so he's representing himself in negotiations. I thought he'd get a lot more out of it. I was surprised. I'm like, damn, that's a low ball. But it's setting a new standard for basketball. If the best player in the world can take a pay cut, that was pressure on Jokic and Giannis, who arguably, some may argue, the best player, if not second, third best.
Yeah,
it's
Jokic.
Pressure on them.
Jokic is definitely under pressure to take that pay cut. But the Nuggets, they kind of got out of that situation that we was talking about earlier with the Houston Rockets giving short-term deals on guys that are coming off of rookie extensions. Same thing here. They got off the MPJ deal because they gave him that long-term contract. And now they got Cam Johnson instead, which is, it's a little bit of a downgrade. I would say it's definitely a little bit of a downgrade. But the Denver Nuggets, the fact that they overspent, right? They overspent on the MPJ contract. They overspent on the Jamal Murray contract. No negotiations, just fully maxed out these guys. They sent 4 first-round picks away just to dump salary. And this is within the Jokic years. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
4 first-round picks just to dump salary, and they still end up losing key role players.
Yeah, they lost Bruce Brown. They lost KCP in free agency. I think Denver now, and credit to the Denver, we could talk about it later. They pivoted well, but you're seeing now it's like these contracts are taking a toll on ownership, and the ownership's not willing to go above and beyond to pay for it and get penalized for it. So now you're gonna see a lot of them pressure Jokic. The ownership himself, he's like, yeah, like that statement basically said, yo, and I think SGA puts kind of that pressure on them now. It's like, yo, if the best player in the world, forget best player in the world, your peer, right? The top 0.0001% is willing to take a pay cut for his organization. Who the fuck are you? That's the guy you went game 7 with. How you expect to win if you're gonna take a lot more money, but the guy who beat you is willing to fucking, make sure AJ Mitchell, the 8th man off the bench, gets paid. Jalen Williams, the guy who had one role, which is to guard you, gets paid.
Yep. And again, this is where Jokic is under pressure. Do you think like all the signees, the Tim Hardaway Jr., the Valanciunas trade, do you think that now the Nuggets are in a better position and all they just need is for Jokic to kind of take that pay cut?
Bro, Nuggets are in a position they're the top 3 in the West, in my opinion, on paper.
Yeah, I can't wait till the numbers update to see the final salary cap numbers for the Nuggets with all these new signees.
They look good right now, the Nuggets, man. I'm a fan. It depends on how much Giannis is willing to take a pay cut. You're seeing it now. The Nuggets said, all right, Bruce Brown, you got paid. Welcome back home.
Yeah, what about this Westbrook? You think they're gonna? He was good on their team.
Depends on how much Westbrook's willing to take.
Yeah, Westbrook is a kind of a valuable free agent right now. I'm not gonna lie. He could come in for a team.
Bro, he saw Dennis Schroeder get paid. He's gonna get paid.
You see, okay, but hold on. This is where, because I have a segment I'm gonna do in the future on this. This is where it's kind of tricky in the NBA because Derrick Rose still to this day is the only player who got a max deal, then got a minimum, then worked his way back up to a mid-level. We still have not seen that in mass.
No.
We have not seen that in mass in the NBA. And I don't know, because recently in the NFL, there's reports out there that they've been kind of collusion on, not paying any guarantees to quarterbacks. There was like a whole investigation with that. And it wouldn't shock me in the NBA if guys get bought out. There's sort of like collusion. I mean, who knows? There could be collusion among the owners where it's like, hey, don't give that guy no mid-level exception.
I'm not with Russell Westbrook. I'm not gonna lie. I think a lot of people kind of get on his ass, and he has his like dumb moments or whatever. I guess like kind of some head scratcher moments, but the contract in the amount he's sacrificed and put on the table is a lot.
How much is he asking for?
I didn't look at his value, but you look at the Denver contract and the Clippers contract. They were dirt cheap.
Yeah, Westbrook was getting paid $3 million.
Yeah. And I think he's better than most bench production. When he took the Nuggets had a winning record when he became starter.
You know what's so crazy? I don't think Westbrook is gonna get even a mid-level deal. I don't know what it is about the league, but I don't think Westbrook is even gonna get a mid-level deal because the free agents that are left, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. Bro, you just saw Dennis Schroeder got paid 3 years, 36. I'm scratching. I'm like, if Schroeder can get paid that much, then what's stopping Westbrook from getting paid that much?
Yeah, again, we've rarely seen guys go from max to minimum to mid-level. It's almost as if once guys get paid the mid-level after coming off a max, that's how it's going to be for the rest of their career. Derrick Rose, it took Derrick Rose knowing Tibbs and having a relationship with the Knicks, Leon Rose, to get that mid-level deal.
Yeah. Yeah, like Tibbs, Taj Gibson, the management staff, all those guys played a role in making sure Rose got taken care of.
I'm looking at the free agent list. I sent you a screenshot of it. It's
This
Brogdon.
week, Malcolm Brogdon. I'm not interested in where the fuck he goes. I actually
Yeah,
like Malcolm Brogdon.
him and
Injury prone is
Spencer.
the problem with him.
Him and Spencer Dinwiddie, Westbrook. Man, this shit is nasty out here. Beasley.
Yeah, Dinwiddie, I'm not crazy about.